Welcome to the Love Procurement podcast. Once again, my name is Vishal Patel, and I'll be the host for the conversation. And today, I'm really glad to welcome Joel Andersson to the show. So, welcome, Joel.
Thank you very much, Vishal. It's great to be here, and thank you for the great show last Thursday. If I guess a lot of the listeners were also listening in, like me, so thanks for
Oh,
that.
great, excellent. Good to know you're a fan. But Joel, so really nice to have you here. You're just maybe what maybe we can just start off with a quick introduction of yourself, your role, and we can get going.
Yeah, so I've been in procurement for quite some time now. It's about 20 years working in procurement, and I had my career in IKEA. IKEA is a big company and has a lot of different opportunities in different types of procurement, we can say. So I spent about 10 years in the direct procurement of products that we procure, we design and we engineer, and then we procure and we sell to our customers. So working with things like wall decoration and kitchen fronts. And then after 10 years, I felt that I want to do something slightly different, right? So then I moved on to the indirect space, and wow, is that cool? It's very nice. Yeah,
Very
the
good.
indirect space. So since 2019, I've been in the indirect space and leading the professional services category here, and last few years focusing on digitalization and process development.
Amazing. We get this question a lot. Maybe I'll just throw it out to you. But what do you think is the biggest difference for you between managing direct spend and managing indirect spend?
Mhm. If you look at it from a distance, it can look very, very similar, right? So when I first came into the indirect, I was like, you can just apply the same things here. Like, why aren't they already doing it? But but after a while, you realize there are actually some really fundamental differences, and one of the most fundamental is simply the amount of different stakeholders. Like
Mm,
if you work with the indirect, you're working with almost everyone in the company. Everyone who has a budget is your stakeholder. Compared to if you work in the direct, maybe it's one or two engineering or design departments that you work with in kind of a organized way. So that is one really big difference. And I would also say that the rate of change in what is possible to buy and how it's possible
mm,
to execute the business is much higher on the indirect side. Like the market is much more dynamic in a way. It
mhm.
changes much faster. So I think it leaves more space for, yeah, maybe creativity. Of course, creativity is also very important in the direct procurement, but
Yeah.
then it's more about innovation together with supplier to kind of find iterative improvements. While on the indirect space, it's in many industries quite disruptive things happening. Like like a few years ago, we had a lot of we were buying translation
Mhm.
services, and you can imagine what has happened with translation
Yeah.
services the last
No
few
more
years.
needed.
Completely different situation now than what it was. So those kind of shifts, I think we have more of in the indirect space.
Yeah, very interesting. So you mentioned professional services as your category sort of focus today. When you first started compared to now, what sort of shifts have you seen there?
Yeah, so I was leading the professional services category, and then actually about 3 years ago, I since that time I've been dedicating myself completely to the digitalization and
Ah, got
process
it.
development. However, I have been staying close to the professional services throughout. Yeah, big changes in professional services over the past few years. Yeah, technology is a big change, both in how you execute the business, how you do the business, and also the services that you buy. Like if you go back 10 years ago, you will say that everything that had a digital component as part of what we were purchasing was a digital purchase. But now almost every professional service is also, partly digital. So
Yeah.
it's evolved a lot in that direction. And so that's one thing. And the other thing I think is simply requirements that keep increasing quite a lot. If we look at the continuous workforce management and how to say services procurement, the legal requirements are increasing, and yeah, that is definitely something that is evolving, and that
Yeah.
needs more and more attention. So while some areas maybe 5 or 10 years ago was more focused on low cost and quality, right now is a big element of compliance in it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So Joel, yeah, as someone who's kind of been working on digital strategies and
Mm.
then previously services procurement, you're dealing with AI, probably daily at this point.
Yeah.
But interested to get your thoughts on, what have you experimented with? What are you exploring in terms of agentic AI, generative AI, and so on?
Yeah. So where I have my focus right now, it is primarily on things that are likely to deliver actual results in short time frame. And that does not exclude, how to say, that we in our company, of course, are working on medium term and long term strategies and so on as well. However, it's a very, how to say, it's moving a lot, the field, yes. While we are working hard to start to use existing technology in a good way, also the technology is developing really fast. So it's a very special situation, and it's very difficult to predict what will be best in a few years from now. Yeah? Depending on how you
Yeah.
listen, you can have very different view on reality and what might and might not happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm working with a lot now is simple agentic AI, we can say. You know, not really reinventing whole processes, but rather automating small steps of processes, um, which is something that can deliver results fast and with low investment and low risk. So that's great. And as well, then looking into kind of proven by peer
Yeah.
or niche technologies to automate complete workflows. So to experiment a bit with that to make sure that we get a feeling for what do these things do, and yeah, we can build on that going forward as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
No, I think that's interesting your approach because like from our standpoint, yes, I think there's a gap between what people talk about being possible and what is really possible today, right? A
Mm,
lot of talk about autonomous workflows and autonomous this and autonomous that. And I think we have to look at autonomous as different degrees of autonomy.
mm,
And I think we're not there yet in terms of maybe in some cases, but I don't think in procurement we're there yet with like, we can do something 100% autonomously. But can we do something, 50% autonomously or 75% autonomously? I think that we're getting there for sure.
mm,
But I think one of the things I always see is with all the agentic AI capabilities, it actually makes it more important that whatever use case you do decide to use AI for, that is really super tailored and specific to your needs.
mm,
Right? It's
mm,
hard to say I'm going to take a off the shelf, you know, AI use case and then just apply it to my business. It may work in some cases, but I think in a lot of cases it favors the sort of tailoring of those use cases to your specific needs, which I think is
absolutely,
really interesting.
absolutely. So that's what's really interesting in this movement. I mean, if we talk about the first part with the agentic AI and those smaller solutions, like the exact function of that solution in some cases might be specific to a team or a department, because for them it needs to function in precisely one way, and for another department similar task, but it might need to function a little bit different for them. And what I think is really interesting with this whole situation we're at now is that is possible. It didn't used to be possible. It
Right.
used to be completely impossible, and now it is possible. So it opens up a lot of things, and that's really nice. And you also mentioned regarding the autonomous processes. Yeah, so it really depends on who you talk to, what is possible and what is not, and what needs to be in place versus what not. And it's like we get a lot of different messages, I would say. So I think in
Yeah.
that situation it is really good try some things, experiment, and learn, so we get our own knowledge as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I know, and we've talked before about a little bit of like where the scale of the change currently underway. Um, and
Mm.
there's still maybe arguably some people are like, yeah, it's nice, and it may change things a little bit here and there, and then there are other people that are basically like it's going to change everything
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about what do you think about the scale of the change, even though it may not be happening now. We are kind of really in the middle of it, right? And when you're in the middle
Yeah.
of a change, you don't really know where you land. But
Yeah.
what do you think at the scale of the change kind of currently going on?
Yes, I think first of all, let's think about that topic considering existing technology and adopting it. Yeah. And I
Right,
think that in itself will be a really big change that we will experience within the coming 5 years. So yes, very big and fundamental change in many aspects in how we do procurement. And I think in most organizations we have been increasing tasks for procurement based on
right,
new regulations, ambitions in different areas that has been added to the kind of more basic ambitions of procurement. So I think this is an opportunity for procurement to start freeing up time to spend together with suppliers,
right.
together with your key stakeholders, without feeling stressed about that report you need to deliver, or that
Exactly. Yeah.
15-page contract that you need to revise. Those kind of tasks will be faster to do. So you will get more time, and I think in procurement there are a lot of things that will be very productive that we can do with that time. So creating
Yeah.
the space that we used to have in a way. That's the way I see it. So that's the first change, and then, well, if we add, maybe before going into that, so what current technology doesn't do, it doesn't have intuition, it doesn't have judgment,
Right.
and those are vital to do good business. Like good businessmanship is a big share intuition. It's not only mathematics. So very much humans are needed still in procurement. Then, if we think about how technology will develop, well, no one really knows. And of course, some people have an interest to make the point that it will develop very, very fast, and that they are in the lead of that, and the whole world will be different in a few years. Will it happen or not? I don't know, but it's possible, with the artificial general intelligence, super intelligence, and so on and so forth. However, when my kids were 5 years younger than they are now, I was, they were about 10, and I was telling them you never need a driver license, because when you turn 18 or 20, cars will be driving by themselves.
Yeah.
And yes, in some cities, cars are driving by themselves, but not here. I've
Yeah.
not, me
Not everywhere
personally,
yet.
I've not yet seen a car like that in reality. So some things, happen more slow than you think, and some things happen really fast. And how this will develop, yeah, I cannot say.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that there's super valid points, and I totally agree with your analogy here, where I think with all the AI stuff happening today, it allows really the in a way the machines to do the machine work, and
Mm,
the people to do what really people do best, right? Which is the judgment, the intuition, the negotiation, right? Like understanding people. And I think that's really, if we boil down what procurement is all about, I think at the core of it, procurement is about relationships with people, right? Your stakeholders
mm,
internally and your suppliers. And in some ways, also in the last couple of decades, maybe digitization has taken procurement away from that a little bit, right?
mm.
And I think this is maybe the opportunity to come back to
I,
something
I,
that's very
yeah,
strong
I
again.
fully agree. Fully agree. Another aspect of this that one could speculate about is we tend to spend quite a lot of time today to kind of optimize our relationship with our first tier supplier, our direct supplier.
Mhm.
In some cases, yes, we go beyond and we look at full value chains, and we work in that perspective as well. However, if this evolution continues and makes it, how to say, easier to manage that direct relationship, and as well the ability to connect data that is today not really possible to connect, which also is one potential with AI, I find it quite likely that we will find new opportunities which we have not seen before, which involves multiple parties in the supply chain.
Yeah.
And if multiple parties in the supply chain find multiple different optimization opportunities like that, that could likely be something that where we need to work in the future, where it will be more, okay, guys, we're 10 companies here involved in this. If we would
Yeah.
change it like this, it would be much better for our end consumer. So can we do that? You know, and then it
Yeah.
will be about human interaction to find the solutions in that, because then different companies will have different conclusions based on different data and so on. But yeah, so
Right. No, I,
that's
I, li- I really like that. Basically, having the different companies in the value chain work together on a specific initiative or project or product.
yeah.
In some cases, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Mm.
Maybe just pivot a little bit on the discussion. I know you've thought about this a bit for your teams, for yourself, but when you think about AI skills or generally skills maybe needed for procurement teams, 5 years from now, what do you think people should be trying to kind of prepare for in that sense?
Yeah, in one way or another, it's like so I sometimes use this analogy. Like, imagine that in procurement we didn't have Excel; it didn't exist, and then one day we have Excel. And if we think about this kind of more generic AI solutions, it's a little bit like that. Yeah? So you can have it, and you can do some basic things in it, which helps you in your everyday. Some basic formula that you used to do on your calculator. Now it's already prepared, and you go in. It's a little bit faster. But also, if you really train yourself, you really dig into it, you can do a lot actually. That will really make a big difference in how you can conduct your business. And I think we are a bit there. So either you can kind of choose to learn how to use it,
Yeah.
or you can step in and you can learn how to also set it up and make it work for you. And I think, like, if you're one of those persons who can step in and really understand it, you can have big benefits for yourself and for your colleagues from that.
Right. Yeah, I do think there's, for a while people were saying like, oh, you would need prompt engineers in procurement, you would need this and that, but I think it's maybe just simpler than that. I think it's just to understand how the thing works. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
there's a basic understanding you need of how large language models work and how agentic systems work, and once you have that basic foundation, I feel that and software generally, it's not too difficult, I think, right, to kind of dive in and start playing around, but uh, making that leap to kind of understand it is sometimes a big one, and you might be far from it, you might be sort of close to it.
yeah,
But I think
and
that's going to be
for sure, some people will have more of a kind of a talent and enthusiasm about it, and some people will be more happy to kind of recycle prompts and agents that are developed by others, and I think that's
right.
that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like, we have different talents and a little bit different skills, but if you're one of those that can dig into this and really can absorb that, and yeah, that will be very valuable. That's what I see, and I think in some procurement organizations we also have those roles that work on a more analytical perspective with the business and with the data. And there, of course, I would say it's a natural upskilling with this new technology that is now here to stay close to that and to move, to level up from static report creation and things like that, to
Yeah.
also build in the agentic AI scope in those kind of roles and functions.
Yeah, actually, internally at Ivalua, we have our own system we use, and actually, they basically they upgraded it with a multi-agent framework.
Mm,
So now anyone can go in and build an agent that
mm,
leverages the web, that leverages one of
mm,
15 different LLMs, um, can build a collection of data to refer to it, can trigger automations of emails or creating documents. So it's
mm.
pretty cool. Like and so like everyone in the company is now creating what they need to or experimenting. And I think just by doing that, people are really getting a better understanding of what it is and what's
Yeah,
possible. And I think that was a really important step for all of us internally as well.
yeah. So sometimes, sometimes I get the question, like if you're talking about this, um, if we talk about the AI, the generative AI, like what should I use it for? Yeah, if you want, you can explain to it yourself what
Right,
you're actually working with, what you fill your days with, and what's important to you at work and so on, and it can come up with some proposals probably, you know.
right.
But then you need to try it a bit because what is important for me to use it for might not be the same thing that is important for you to use it for in all locations, you know. For sure, we might have some things that are exactly the same, but some things might be different. Like for me, when I should explain something which is complicated and I know a lot about it, I tend to use many more words than I should. Like
Mm,
this is how I was built, you know. So here, for example, just the simple generative AI, you just talk to it and explain to it, and it can shorten my message and bring out the key points, and then that's helpful for me. Maybe for
yeah,
someone that's easy, you know.
right.
So maybe they don't need that kind of function, but maybe there's something else that they really feel is very useful. So I think you have to kind of dig into it and try it a bit yourself. Then, of course, agents to evaluate um, supplier compliance document or things like that. That is of course relevant for everyone who works with those kind of tasks. So, but for those smaller kind of everyday productivity things, yeah, you need to get in there and try. And yes, in the beginning you will try some things that will take more time than
Yeah,
if you just done it yourself. But then you learn also, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't try that again.
yeah, and it's interesting that there's a school of thought that basically is saying that for kids, for a long time, people were pushing mathematics, and science, and all that stuff, which is still important. I think it's still important. But
Mm,
there's a school of thought that's saying like actually, the better you can communicate, the better your language skills are, the more you're going to get out of generative AI,
yeah,
because you're able to ask it things in a specific way. You're able to be very specific and thought out about what you're asking it, how you want it to reply, what format you want it in, and the more detailed you are, the more it's going to give you back. So there's like all this. It's interesting to see how this is going to develop.
yeah. Basically, like what is so kind of dramatic, maybe it's not the right word, but
Mm.
it's impactful in this is, of course, that a smaller automation, like if we go back only 5 years to kind of RPA technology and so on, a smaller automation, it's a development task. Like
Yeah,
it's not so easy to set it up and then to make it work. It's like it's something. Because it's like that, it takes a long time, right? First, you need to have your idea, you need to communicate it, someone needs to understand it, you need to pick it up, it needs to be prioritized, you need to develop it, you need to try it, and many people are involved. Maybe something is misunderstood on the way, or you know, and now something like that can happen. Like one person, I or someone else, can have an idea about like maybe I could do this. I can try it immediately. Then if it's good, it's good. If it's not, yeah, I didn't waste much
yeah,
time, on that. So yeah, I think that will also improve the quality a lot. Like when we do those more advanced developments, like those that we know will be more institutional and definitely used by everyone and really, really important. It's like it's so much easier to kind of prototype it in reality, and
Yeah.
then to know how you want it, kind of, and then build on that rather than to describe it in different documents and stuff like. So it's really nice, and
Yeah, no, I think I think what you're saying also aligns with a lot of the way we think is, one is there's all this talk about software or SaaS is dead because of AI, and I think actually uh, if you think about what AI needs, which is reliable data that comes from a system of record of some sort, right? And now if you're able to build AI on top of that with agentic orchestration and still have some level of governance, which you need. So if you think about your AI example, right? Like if someone has an idea, they can build it in a system, but to scale it to be able to be enterprise grade, you need to then think about the security and how you will improve it, how the AI
yeah,
learns, how you're going to evaluate the AI, right? Is there a framework
yeah,
for testing that? So there's all these other things which I think sometimes get left out of the picture because many companies are just focused on like, show me how, how your autonomous use case works for this particular thing. But then it doesn't, you have to also think about it in the framework of how do you roll it out to hundreds, thousands of users? How do you make sure it's secure? How do you make sure it's using data that's relevant? Because that's another big danger, right? That people are so used to using autonomous or automated AI capabilities that they are completely relying on that to ensure, or they're assuming that it's giving you correct information and correct data.
yeah, yeah. That's
And
a
that's the danger part of it, I guess, is like, you
yeah.
need the right system in place in order to be sure that you have accurate data.
Yeah, I mean, in my view, there is we easily kind of land in this either or discussion. I don't think it's an either or discussion. It's both and. Like,
Right. Yeah.
at least for now, it's both and, because, like we talked about before, nobody really knows. Like, so is it a wise decision now to just not expect that end-to-end procurement platform will be useful? Is it right to start thinking that that's useless? Probably that's a very dramatic and drastic conclusion to make in the current situation,
Right. Because we don't know yet. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, like, if you say no, we only should consider to work with AI on end-to-end full suit procurement platforms or whatever platforms, or to say that no, we will only work with more general software and that should solve everything, like Microsoft or ServiceNow or something like that.
Mm.
It's like, yeah, that will also be a very dramatic decision. I think it's better, in my perspective, my personal perspective, to try to stay practical, and look
Right.
at what can actually do something within a reasonable time frame, and then focus on actually doing that.
Yeah.
And then we kind of we make new decisions a few months from now and a few months from now, and then for sure we should have an idea about long term where we might go, but we should not have to say let an idea about where we should be 5 or 10 years from now kind of hinder us to do things that could deliver on the short term. So I think it's not either or, it's both and in this situation.
Right.
That's my personal view on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I don't know who it was that said it, but I think it was someone famous, but that innovation is incremental. It's and continuing incremental innovation, right? Like
Mm.
that's what gives you the big innovation. It's never really one big bang innovation, that
Mm.
happens and changes everything. So
Yeah, and interestingly, I mean that's what I see from Ivalua as well. I mean, you were quite quick to pick up this generative AI and start to make it part of your platform, like a function, and start with, yeah, rather straightforward, simple
mm,
things, as is pre-configured skills, uh, which is, of course, yes, you have to start there,
yeah,
and then what that will be 5 years from now, yeah, we will learn on the way, right?
right.
Mm.
Good. So maybe our last question, which we usually ask our guests, Joel, since the podcast is called Love Procurement. What and why do you love procurement? What makes you love procurement?
Yeah, I asked myself many times why I love procurement. I think I love people. I love talking to
Ah,
people. I'm a
yes.
very curious person. I really like to learn about things. Working in procurement, you learn about a lot of things and you meet a lot of people. Yeah, and I think you also have a bit of a competitive side of me, and
Mm,
yeah, it's not bad to have if you work in procurement.
sure.
To have.
That's good. I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. Well, thank you so much, Joel. It was really great to have you on the podcast. Maybe we'll have you back in the next season next year.
Yeah.
But really, really nice conversation. And thanks very much.
Yeah, great talking to you as well, Vishal, and thanks a lot for the opportunity.